Philip, I'm just going to come on to you in just a moment about the comparisons that are being made, rather unfair comparisons between the visit of Chancellor Merkel and that of President Macron earlier in the week. But before we come on to that, just tell us a little bit about the substance of what was discussed between the two leaders and whether they sort of see eye to eye on those key issues.
Well, the German Chancellor didn't necessarily get anything to take home with her to Berlin. There were some pretty urgent matters for her to discuss, and both of them have to do with some important dates coming up. First of all, the end of exemptions for the European Union countries, including Germany, from trade tariffs that were imposed for the imports of steel and aluminium. Angela Merkel very much came here to Washington to talk to the US president about that. Her response in the press conference just a short while ago was the president will make a decision. In other words, she got no promises from him that there will be further exemptions. The Iran nuclear deal, much like during the visit of the French President Emmanuel Macron, was very much an important subject that they discussed. Again, no very clear outcome and no clear quotes from Donald Trump or Angela Merkel as to whether the US president will indeed withdraw the United States from the nuclear deal with Iran on the 12th of May, though indications are that he will. Interestingly enough, what we heard here from these two heads of state and government was that there is an openness to changing that deal somewhat, or rather creating a bigger deal that would include a bigger aspect that involves Iran's workings in the region, including Syria, Iraq, Lebanon, and other countries. And that is something that was suggested by the French president just 2 days ago. There seems to be an openness from the German chancellor to tack onto that. She says that any deal should have part of it the influence of Iran in Syria and Lebanon, for example. The US president clearly wants to go in that direction as well. You heard there in the soundbite from the US president, he doesn't want Iran to take over the space that the United States believes it will have won in its fight against the Islamic State organization. Again, that is a look at the Iran nuclear deal and Iran's activities in a wider context. It's relatively vague still, and it was during the visit of the French president, but there does seem to be some kind of an openness to a new deal. But of course, details would have to be hashed out pretty quickly.
Okay, and Philip, of course, all of this week, pretty much, well, a lot of this week, your week has been taken up by the visit of the French president, and that was a very warm visit, lots of hugs and slapping on the back and kisses and everything else, but not quite so much of that on this particular visit by the German chancellor, was there?
No, it turned out okay for both of them, I suppose. There certainly wasn't that warm relationship that appears to exist with the French president. This was a very short visit, after all, not a state visit, so less time for the two to be together, and probably they don't really want to be together for as long a time as the French president and the US president spent together at the beginning of this week. It seems to be that they're getting along that little bit better, according to the US president. This is a relationship that is going just fine. Of course, we know that there have been some serious hiccups, and there certainly were at the start of the US president's time in the White House. Today, interestingly enough, what the US president probably wanted more than anything, he got from the German chancellor, and that was praise for him, praise for his role in putting on strong sanctions on the North Korean regime that, according to the US president, clearly led to this Korean summit and to the possibility of direct talks between the US president and Korean leader Kim Jong-un. There was praise from the German chancellor for the US attitude in this, and this is something that the US president also firmly believes in, that his role has been instrumental in getting the two Koreas to talk together, and also, by the way, he is still very confident that his meeting with Kim Jong-un will be happening. He said at this press conference at the White House just a short while ago that he sees only 2 locations and 2 countries now for that meeting. He says this as well, by the way, something very dramatic could happen, whatever that means exactly. And he goes on to say that their meeting will be quite something. Of course it will. It will be historic. This White House very confident that this will happen, first of all, and very confident that this White House and this president will get a lot of credit for it.